Hello there, welcome to the world of understanding cinema, and we are talking about different story formats, and we were discussing about Michael Hawke's story format where we talked about Set Apart, then we were talking about Turning Point 1, and I said that Erin Brockovich, who was broke in the beginning, has at least secured a job and by the time she reaches to Turning Point 1. On the other hand, Gladiator, for the film Gladiator, Maximus is presented with a preposition by Emperor Marcus Aurelius, whereby he expresses his desire to return to his place of origin. Now look at these two places. Whatever we were seeing in the beginning, there is a obvious development. There is an obvious change. Now you can see characters more. That Erin is very persuasive, or she is irritatingly persuasive, and Maximus, who is a general in an army and serves a king, and the king, the emperor Marcus Aurelius, he comes up with a proposition whereby he says that I'm all right with my life. I really want to go back home and spend some time with my family. You see, when he's fighting a war, when he is fighting for his king Marcus Aurelius, for his emperor, you see he's a different person. But when the victory is there, when victory has come home, he is relaxed. King calls him and he says that I have thought something for you. He says even I have thought something for myself, and I really want to go back home and spend some time with my family. Look at the sort of person, this is how, now these are internal matters, but when you express this through words, when you have that fire, when you have that desire, and when you express it smoothly, then it exhibits another facet of anyone's personality. Now, at the initial 10%, as I said, that this is a part which is dealing with the 10% of the film, the initial 10% mark of a screenplay, it is imperative to introduce an opportunity for the protagonist, whereby a chance arises that engenders discernible aspiration and initiation, and initiates the character's transformative odyssey. Now, this is something very important, that by the time 10% of the film is over, there has to be an obvious opportunity. Now, this is something that one must keep in mind, that 10% of the film is equal to an opportunity for my character. You can use a catalyst, like Black Snyder, the beat sheet, and anything, but there has to be some sort of chance has to be there. A chance has to arise that engenders discernible aspiration and initiates the character's informative odyssey. Now, this is something important to remember. So, if you are making your notes, 10% is equal to write this: a new chance. That you have to make scope for a new possibility, where characters' transformativeness can be observed. Now, this is at this juncture. Now, if you remember that we have talked about Matrix. Now, this is a part where in film Matrix, Neo is escorted to encounter Morpheus and expresses a desire to acquire knowledge about the Matrix, or the moment when Ike is terminated from his employment and express a desire to rendezvous with the runaway bride. So I am trying to bring in not just Gladiator or Erin Brockovich. I am trying to bring in Castaway also. I am trying to bring in Matrix also. I am trying to bring in Runaway Bride also, so that you can understand with a lot of example the aspirations generated by these prospects is distinct from a particular objective that delineates the concept of your narrative, or the ultimate milestone that your protagonist must achieve by the conclusion of the cinematic work. There exists a strong inclination to transmit towards stage 2. Now, stage 2, which is a new situation, Now, there in setup part, which is the 10% of the film, you see a particular setup. Your character can be here, your character can be here, he can be at the bottom side of of the thing, or he can be on a higher side. That's why these two films, Erin Brockovich, Down and Out, Gladiator, one of the most important person in Roman Empire. So one is down and one is at highest level of his or her career. So this is how you bring in your setup. You give them an opportunity. Now once that opportunity is in place, what will you do as a director or as a cinematographer? Look, when I say writer, director, cinematographer, costume designers, when I say the entire creative team, the entire technical team, when you pick up, I always say it that when you pick up a screenplay, and you give it to different departments, you give it to direction department, you give it to DOP department or cinematographer department, slightly there is a difference, and then you give it to the costume designer or for the fashion or hair and makeup, all of them extract their own information from the same screenplay. Now, when you give a script to director, they will think it from direction point of view. When you give it to the cinematographer, obviously he will imagine how best we can pull it off. And same thing goes that what costume she will wear, what hair and makeup she will be wearing, all these things, and what sort of a army will be around him or her, what sort of a tent will be there for the emperor. So all these things, everybody is picking up as per his or her own department from the screenplay. Now, from writing point of view, when you are creating a new situation, which is a stage 2, which is from 10% to 25%. Now, this is what it is. So now we are moving technically. We were talking about the setup, which was stage 1. Now we are talking about stage 2, which is the new situation. So we will understand it from setup point of view and the new situation point of view, and we will also understand the same particular series of sequences from turning point of view also. Now listen to it carefully. Erin Brockovich commenced her employment at the law firm of Ed Mesery, where she encounters her neighbor George. Now remember George, because George will be providing emotional support to Erin Brockovich, and subsequently initiates an investigation into a legal matter in Hinckley's, California. This particular issue involves PG&E. However, her employment was terminated at a later stage. Now, I have just told you that she has lost case and everything, then she secures a job with Ed Mesery. Now I'm telling you that she comes and starts working with Ed Mesery in a law firm. She starts investigating something, and by the end of this particular part, which is the new situation, obviously it's a new situation, that in the last situation she got the job, doesn't matter how persuasive she was or how irritatingly persuasive she was. You have to see whether she was persuasive or she was irritatingly persuasive. So I have just told you this. Now I'm telling you that she starts working with Ed Mesery. She gets into, in the office nobody is paying her attention. She picks up something, she finds it very interesting. She, goes out to investigate about it. She does her bit there. She comes back to office, and when she comes back office, she comes to know that she has been fired. So she is just hired, and after just 15% of the screenplay, she is fired. Now imagine, now this thing will also, now what is a turning point? You must be thinking that Salim Sir is talking about a turning point. No, I'm not talking about a turning point. These are the sequences, these are the events which are taking part from 10% to 25%. Now this becomes really easy to understand when somebody talks about that this bit talks about this bit talks about this, and there is a clear-cut demarcation in between. Then you say, oh yes, this is how events proceed. Now from Gladiator point of view, the film Gladiator, the ailing emperor entrusts Maximus with a significant responsibility. He is requested by the emperor to assume leadership of Rome. There is something you must be wondering, that what is going on, why he is entrusting Maximus to assume the leadership of Rome and restore power to the citizen against the ambitious aspiration of the emperor's son, Commodus. Now, this makes it really, really complicated. When Marcus Aurelius, who is an old emperor, has got a son and a daughter, why he is trusting the third person, which is Maximus in this particular case, why he is trusting Maximus that he should be the next king of Rome? The reason is that he has believed that only Maximus can give power back to the people of Rome. Whereas Commodus will not do it. He is a mean character. He is a mean character. So that's the twist. You must again be thinking that, sir, if this is the new situation, then what is the turning point about? What will be the turning point of it? That's how you raise the stakes. That you must be thinking that these are turning points. No, these are not turning points. Turning points are yet to be told. Now, during the subsequent 15% of the narrative, the protagonist will respond to the novel circumstances that have arisen due to the presented opportunities. Now, during the phase, the protagonist, through a process of familiarization with the unfamiliar environment. I'll be talking about this particular thing, familiarization with the unfamiliar environment, endeavors to comprehend the situation at hand and devise a strategic course of action to achieve their ultimate objective. Now, it gives a very wonderful example of one film called Liar Liar. I think you must have seen a film called Kyunki Main Jhoot Nahi Bolta. Now, Kyunki Main Jhoot Nahi Bolta, I have no shame saying, is exactly a direct photocopy of Liar Liar. Now, the protagonist, Fletcher, is faced with the task of unraveling the realization that he must have been afflicted with a curse compelling him to speak only the truth. Now, this is something very interesting when I said familiarization with the unfamiliar environment. Now, when you read books related to cinema, when you read books on mass communication, there are some statements which are mind-boggling. They just blow your head off, not literally, but conceptually. Now, what do you mean by familiarization with the unfamiliar environment? Now, what does it mean technically? Familiar, unfamiliar environment with, if when I started learning, and if somebody gives me a concept like familiarization with the unfamiliar environment, it will definitely boggle my mind that what are you trying to say? Now, I exemplify this particular thing. Now, familiarization with the unfamiliar environment. Suppose you are called for an interview in a room, okay, where 5 people are sitting there waiting. Okay, that's an unfamiliar environment, because you have never been in that room before. So that is, you know that something of this sort will happen, but you do not know what sort of a visual it will be. Now, the moment you enter in that room, and this is what exactly happens with a lot of people, they suddenly start gauging the entire environment. They try to grasp the situation immediately. Why? Because they want to familiarize themselves with the unfamiliar environment. If they familiarize themselves with the unfamiliar environment, chances are that they will be accommodating themselves faster than any other people. And the moment you accommodate yourself and you are comfortable, chances are that your interview will be smooth as compared to if you do not adopt for the situation. Now, this is called familiarization with the unfamiliar environment. And faster you grasp it, easier it becomes for you to handle. Now, the narrative framework frequently aligns with the geographical element. Now, again, what does it mean? The narrative framework frequently aligns with a geographical element as the protagonist embarks on a journey to a novel setting. This may be observed in several instances, such as embarkation onto cruise ship in the film Titanic, and the talented Mr. Ripley, the protagonist's visit to Cincinnati. I mean, it's a name of a place, so I can't help it. It's the name of a place. Mr. Ripley, the protagonist's visit to Cincinnati for his father's burial in Rain Man. If you have not seen Rain Man, I would recommend that you also watch this film, or the same thing, exactly at the same thing in Air Force One, when the president is departing in his plane called Air Force One. In most of the films, please understand this, in most of the films, the protagonist willingly embarks upon a novel circumstances, typically accompanied by a sense of enthusiasm and expectation. Now, this is, if you remember that when I was giving you an example of Bahubali, he gets a mask, and he visualizes the lady, a song is there, and then during the song he is thinking that he will be meeting the girl whose mask is so beautiful, she will be very beautiful, sort of a visualization, understanding, crossing all the hurdles in between, and going to the upper side of the mountain. And as soon as he comes, he meets, he is like he gets involved in a fight and things like that. Whatever it is, whether there is a fight, there is a song, or whether there is no fight or there is no song, obviously something will be there. But when the character is moving from lower strata to upper strata, in terms of physically also, in terms of mentally also, in terms of challenges also, in terms of opportunities also, in terms of the growth of the story also. So whatever the circumstances is, whatever it is, the protagonist has a belief, that whatever challenge is there ahead of him or her, in both the cases, for if your protagonist is female, then also if your protagonist is male, then also, and so they have a belief that if they are leaving behind their world, known world, now they are venturing into unknown world, there is a belief, there is an expectation, there is an enthusiasm that let anything come what may. Let anything come what may. They are ready, whether you call it confidence, or you called it that they are expecting too much from themselves, but they are ready for the new opportunity. However, the conflict intensifies during the journey. The conflict intensifies, and the protagonist gradually becomes aware that what he or she has signed for. When they're leaving their old world, like the old world for Erin Brockovich is that if she decides to stay in the condition that has been shown in the beginning of the film, that will be her real world, technically. Or Maximus stays the journal of the army that under the emperorship of Marcus Aurelius. Now, if they decide to be that only, obviously there is no story then. Obviously there is no story. You have been going to your school, obviously from nursery to 12th. But if I ask you what were the wonderful incidents of your school life, trust me, there will be hardly 12. So, did you not go other than these 12 days to your school? Oh, you definitely did. You definitely did. Those were the normal days where nothing so extraordinary happened. Like when you went for the school trip, on the school trip. That must have been a very, very interesting time. And if somebody had great fun at that point of time, I'm sure that you will be elated to share that with all of us. Now, that is what is something unique. So, if your protagonist is getting into a new situation, if your protagonist is trying to get away from the world which has been given in the beginning of the story, obviously if you do not move forward, you are not an hero. Male, female, both. So hero will always venture into something unknown, something where he will feel, or he or she will feel enthusiastic about, where you have, when you are moving, you have great expectation, at least from yourself, and then obviously conflict intensifies, and they slowly becomes aware of the presence of significant they become aware that there is significantly formidable challenges, and initially anticipated, which were not initially anticipated. So that leads to our turning point too. So I was saying, if so much is happening in the new opportunity, what is happening in turning point? So if new opportunity has surprised you, must have raised your expectation, then what is in turning point 2, which is called the change of plans, which is at the 25%. So the opportunity and the culmination of that opportunity at 25% is the change of plan. Now Erin Brockovich is rehired to provide assistance in securing a legal victory against PG&E. Now again, what is happening? You must be saying, you can say, Salim sir, she was not, she was, first she lost her lawsuit, then was irritatingly persuasive, then hired by Ed Mesery. Now Ed Mesery, when she starts working for Ed Mesery, she goes out without informing. She comes back, though she was doing her work seriously, but she was fired. But again, you are saying that Erin Brockovich is rehired to provide assistance in securing a legal victory against PG&E. What is happening, Salim sir? That's how stories, gives you a lot of option. This is how they boggle your mind, and you may find it that this is how it is happening, sir. This is not sounding good. But when you watch it, that's what I say. When you write it, when you put it on a piece of paper, and when you actually make it happen, and finally you see it on screen, there is a long journey involved. Like most of you must be doing research. So when a teacher comes and teaches you research in class, you say, this is what we understand, there is no problem. But the real struggle starts when he asks you to chalk out your area and give a title to it. So it's the same feeling. You understand, oh yes, this is happening, this may look not very exciting, or this may look very exciting on a piece of paper, but when you actually go through the process, then you realize, oh no, then you feel happy about Erin, that Ed Mesery, finally you are coming to Erin Brockovich home. Now you are accepting all her terms and conditions. It's a beautiful scene. It's a beautiful scene. Oh, you are hiding her again. So all these things, you enjoy that. You enjoy that seeing on screen. Now in the film Gladiator, Maximus. So King wants Maximus to take charge from, the emperor wants Maximus to take charge from him because he does not trust his own son, Commodus. Now Commodus comes to know that my father is trying to give the entire empire to Maximus. So in the film Gladiator, the protagonist Maximus, upon discovering the heinous act of patricide committed by Commodus, makes a solemn commitment to thwart the new emperor's ascension and fulfill Marcus Aurelius' desire. You know what happened just in between? Commodus kills the entire family of Maximus. He hangs them and burns them. Then, before that, he tries to kill Maximus also, but somehow he escapes. Now, imagine a journal, of an army, of Roman Empire, nothing bigger than that at that point of time. Emperor is in your favor. Obviously, you are a different sort of a person and you say, I'll let it be, I want to go back home and spend some time with my family. Commodus comes to know about it. First, he kills his father. Sister knows it but can't say because she has got a son. Commodus gets mad. He captures Maximus, orders his reliable people, obviously soldiers and generals at different rank, kill Maximus. Somehow he escapes. Commodus gets to know, sends a what do you call that, tukdi, to Maximus' home. His son and wife hanged, killed, burnt. Maximus reaches there, discovers that na khuda hi mila na visale sanam. He reaches there, and he discovers his entire world is gone. His entire world is gone. Now, if he started here, at the 25% of the film, he is here. Whereas Erin Brockovich started here, and she's hired, fired, rehired, all that is happening. And this is how when you compare two films, that's the beauty, that both the graphs are moving. And obviously, from whichever situation they started, they are moving forward in a logical sense. Whether you like it, whether you not like it, whether you are feeling happy about it, whether you are feeling disdained about it, whether you observe it happily, or you are sad by the end of 25% of the film. That's basically, that depends on the vision of the writer. And obviously, you have got preferences. Writers write for your preferences. It is just the 25% of the structure. I hope to explain it further. Thank you very much.